Great. Um, Welcome everyone to the Introduction to Twitter webinar. I'm sure many of you are very interested and keen on learning about Twitter because in my experience, many people are like, what is this Twitter microblogging, the space where you have to hear about 140 characters where you are allowed to say something in only so many words, or rather so many characters. And today we'll be going through all of this and through all of the terminology that you've heard, the @ symbol, the hashtag, mentions, replies, retweets, tweets, all of these things, and also how you can use this as a platform for your organization to communicate your messages. So let's start off by looking at what is Twitter, or rather what the tail of Twitter is. So Twitter was launched in 2007 and has grown to become one of the most powerful tools in the social networking site world. It is the new scaffolding that gave power to new short messages. Many of us are now in this world of WhatsApp and BBM um, and SMS. Well, SMS has even disappeared by now. And we all used to chatting and communicating to one another in short messages. And here we have Twitter, where you are spreading your communication messages, your organization messages in 140 characters. And it begs the question, but how? Anyway, and we'll go through all of this as we proceed through this webinar. So Twitter is one of the largest social media platforms with over 300 million users. The main users are daily chatter, so daily routine kind of stuff. What am I doing right now? I'm sure many of us have seen people that have, for those of you who are on Twitter, I'm sure you've seen people saying, I'm on my way to the park now, I'm reading this book, I'm interested in this news, or I had this for lunch, and so on and so on and so on. It's the kind of chatter that annoys some of us, but some of us are actually there. We find ourselves actually as the tweeters that are sharing messages such as those, sharing tweets such as, I am going to the library, I am going to town for the day, and so on. So Twitter is also about conversation. It's about commenting, replying to posts using the @ sign, or private direct messaging. It's also a space for sharing information using your URLs, your addresses, web addresses. Um, it's so you would use this URL shortening service like Tiny URL, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the webinar. It's also a space for reporting news, so getting latest news or comments about our current events and so on. I'm sure many of us keep up to date with whatever the latest news is of the day using Twitter and using the hashtag if you understand all of these tricks on Twitter. You are able to follow current news by following hashtags and so on. For some of us that are in Johannesburg, you may have heard of PigSpotter. PigSpotter is a Twitter handle or a Twitter username that allows us to keep up to date with traffic reports. So if you are on your way to Sandton and you need the quickest route, but you go onto Twitter and you check with PigSpotter, and PigSpotter says, hey, there is a traffic jam on the one highway, you may want to take another route. So these are ways that Twitter is able to actually help you and keep you posted with latest news and events and situations within your surroundings. So let's have a brief look at Twitter terms. If my presentation would allow. Sorry. So there are 400 million tweets sent every day. That is 400 million tweets, things that are being said by individuals on a daily basis at any given time throughout the day, throughout the world. Around 10% of all of those tweets are retweets. So if I have something important that I say or that I share on Twitter, there are 10% of the world feel that they want to share, they want to retweet it. And this is something we'll come into the terminology as we proceed. Around 50% of all tweets include a link. This is a very important thing to note, as A link is a call to action. A link allows people to take action on what you are sharing in your tweet. It drives people to your website, it drives people to a news website or whatever piece of information it is that you'd like to share. That it is important to include a link, not a necessity, but it is wise to do so. So the total number of registered users are about 1 billion. Active users on Twitter are 100 million. The number of people that use Twitter are 302 million monthly active users. That is a huge number. And if we think in terms of the amount of people we can reach, those are the stats. Around 40% of all tweets are conversational. What that means is Nicole says, "Hi everyone, I'm having a miserable day today." Wendell will respond to my tweet and say, "Hey Nicole, what's up? Anything I can do for you?" Hence, conversation starts. So it's about replying, about commenting, about mentioning, about starting conversation. And this is essentially what we want to do. This is essentially what we want to do with our Twitter. We want to open up the conversation and start engaging with our users. So here's this glossary. These terminologies and these symbols that we're seeing on Twitter. So you have the @ symbol, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, as we all use email. The @ sign is used to call out usernames in tweets. So hello at Twitter, people will use your @ username to mention you in tweets, send you a message or link to your profile. So this is the way that people or someone or anyone would address you on Twitter. Again, @ username. A username is how you are identified on Twitter and is always preceded immediately by the @ symbol. For instance, Katy Perry is @ Katy Perry. With over 300 million people, the likelihood that you would find that your exact name is taken is quite huge. I tried to register myself under my personal name, Nicole Bibi, and it's not possible. So bear that in mind in terms of your organization name when you want to register your organization name. And another important thing to note about your username is you want to also keep it short because you are limited to 140 characters. So you might want to have a shortened at username. Why? Because you want to make sure that you still have enough characters for your full complete tweet, as your username also takes up some of that space. Then the hashtag. Also, for those of us who know the telephone, the original telephone, it was known as the pound symbol, the pound key. A hashtag is any word or phrase immediately preceded by the hashtag symbol. When you click on a hashtag, you'll see other tweets containing the same keyword or topic. And we'll look at some examples of hashtag and keyword streams as we proceed. So then we also have mentioning other users in your tweet by including the @ sign followed directly by their username is called a mention. Also refers to tweets in which your username was included. And then of course retweet. This is the act of sharing another user's tweet to all of your followers by clicking on the retweet button. And now we will look at all of these buttons throughout the webinar as well. So how does Twitter work? There are two main options when using Twitter: to follow and be followed. I think in our lives, we've always wanted to be famous at some point or popular. Here's your chance. You can be followed by 302 million people. There's the potential. So you will get, following, you will get other people their updates on your personal timeline on your homepage. So for example, if any of you are following me, you will get my updates on your homepage when you log in. In turn, you can see who gets your updates on your followers page. So followers receive other people's Twitter updates. When you post an update to your Twitter account, your followers will get it on their homepage. Mutual followers can send each other private messages, and you can even choose to get notified by email when someone new follows you or sends you a private message. Your following stats are listed on your profile page. So let's just have a look at what that looks like. So this would be my timeline. This is known as my Twitter timeline. On the left side, you can see I've made 0 tweets because I've created this account so that we can start afresh. I have 9 following me and I have 3 followers. So those that are following me you will get their updates in your personal timeline. So I will get it in this section over here. Followers, they will receive other people's Twitter updates. So on Twitter, you find 3 types of users. Those that use it as an information source, so they use it as a hub that has a large number of followers. So if you think in terms of News 24 or the Mail and Guardian or any news agency for that matter, this is where they have very, very large numbers of followers. Why? Because they are important information source. They post regularly or infrequently, but due to the value of the value of their content, followers remain large. Then you have the friends. Most relationships fall into this broad category. So when we speak about um, people that are doing the daily chatter, what are you doing today? I'm going to the library. This is the category where they would fall in. It's the people that are just there to converse with one another and interact with one another on a more personal level. Then you have the information seekers. This person might post very rarely but follows other users regularly. So this is again for the person who wants information, who's always looking for new information, for new resources. So they are the people that would be following the likes of the News 24 or CNN or BBC or Sky News and Human Rights Watch and Relief Web and so on and so forth. So the rise of Twitter as a business tool is that it is for building a community of constituents, clients, a network of supporters, all through its ability to talk directly to a group of people, to send people to a specific location, and this then being the call to action that I mentioned earlier, then to provide people with information. So here you are the information source, then also to gain insight into what your constituents are thinking and talking about. So you are the information seeker. And then to gain insight into what other organizations are doing and discussing. So here you are seeking market intelligence. You want to see what your competitors are doing within the market. This is important information to know because here you are able to determine how your campaign or your communication strategy will unfold, how you will construct your messages. You want to be able to comment and respond to messages and be able to open up conversation. And this speaks directly to gaining insight into what constituents are thinking and talking about. So you want to follow all your networks, follow people within your network, so that you can understand what it is that they are interested in what who they are following. You also want to look at who they are following and what their interests are, what they are talking about, so that you can then open up a conversation and with these people or with these organizations. So 85% see it as an opportunity to learn about new issues, while 80% see it as another way to support their favorite cause or nonprofit or charity. 60% use Twitter as some form of online media to support a cause. 36% advocate for a cause, so they will be the ones that retweet messages, they're forwarding messages. 34% have a personal behavior change. So whatever tweet was sent out, they were persuaded or their personal behavior changed based on what they saw on this tweet. Again, this is another important um, stat to know about Twitter, because here you have the opportunity and you are able to see how Twitter is able to influence your constituents. 23% use it and see it as a place for purchasing cause-related products. So here you can even see it as a way to direct people to your website to make a donation. Or if you're in the business of selling products, yeah, people actually see it as see Twitter as a space where they would feel comfortable or directed to be able to make a donation or buy or purchase a product. So signing up for Twitter. It's as simple as going to twitter.com and completing the sign up form. Once you and this entails your email address and completing your the application form, similar to as what we did last week with our Facebook form, your birth date, your email address, and so on. Then we want to customize our profile, and that we do by going to our egg. And once you're on your profile page, you want to go onto edit profile. And from here, you will be able to customize your profile. This is an important space as you want to be able to build your brand. You want to add your brand, your organization branding. So I've just selected random images that I will use for the presentation. So over here, we want to add a header photo. And I've just selected something of interest, which is music. And it's as simple as doing that. And you are able to move it around to place it as you want it and click apply. The next step is adding a profile picture. And that is as simple as clicking on add a profile photo, upload photo, and again, just selecting the image. So in your case, you would use your organization logo, for example, or images that perhaps you have an image of your staff members that you could use as your header image. So this is something that you as an organization would determine together. Okay, there seems to be a problem with my image. And open again. And it seems it wants me to remain an egg for today. Anyway, then you will complete. So bear in mind you would add your logo, your organization logo, for example. Then you would add your name. When you registered, you will have already selected your username. In my case over there, it is Nixie _0306. Then I can write a biography of myself in 100. You are limited to 160 characters for your biography. So for here, I'm going to just say webinar facilitator for Oxfam, South Africa. My location is Johannesburg, South Africa, and thank you, Twitter, for making it so simple that it's already detected my location. My website, let's just say www.oxfam.org. Oxfam staff, please note I will change this. And then my birth date. Yeah, I'm giving my age away. Although this can be hidden. And as you can see, Twitter allows you to add set privacy settings so public can see it. Only my followers, only people I follow, where we follow each other, or only me. So I will have it as only me. And then save changes. And your profile has been set up. And it's as simple as clicking Save Changes. Right, so back to our presentation. So now that we've signed up for Twitter, as you can see, you can't run Twitter successfully with an egg avatar. Unfortunately, Twitter didn't want to allow me to hatch. So in your in your organizations, I'm sure you'll be able to, or when you are setting up your profile, I'm sure you'd be able to get this right. And yes, it is useful to always add an image. Nobody wants to follow an egg because it's often considered rather as spam. So your account shouldn't look like a fake one. Therefore, you should enter things like your biography and your location and a link to your website. Then we look at following people on Twitter. So following people, finding people is very, very simple on Twitter. If you look at this page on its own, you can already see that it gives you who to follow. It gives you suggestions on who to follow. So here you can also then click Find Friends. And it can actually import your entire address excuse me, your entire address book from your email. I'm not going to do that for today, but you are actually able to enter your by simply clicking search contacts. But as I said, not today. I don't want to send out a flood of emails to all my email database. However, you can also just do a simple search on Twitter by typing somebody's name or their username if you know it. So let's just say, Wendell, you are our case study for right now. And let's see if you are there. And look, there are two Wendells. One is an egg and one has some candy, lollipops. So let's see if that is our Wendell. And I do suspect it is, and we can actually then just click and follow her. So it's as simple as that. And again, I suggest that you look at the who to follow bar, because if you start following people, if you start following things like news agencies or like NGOs that are related to the work that you do, Twitter will detect it and it will suggest followers for you. So let's click on view all and see who all they suggest and who all they think I would be interested in following. So, okay, over there, they already see I'd be interested in Oxfam International. So I can just click follow. Australian Red Cross, why not? A freelance radio presenter, David O'Sullivan, and a TV host of Carte Blanche. UN Women, I'm interested in issues around women's rights and so on. So I will follow the UN Women. Amnesty International, yes. Global Development, yes, etc., etc. So you can just go through this entire list and see, because Twitter will just continuously add more people more suggestions who they think you would want to follow. So following people, it's not just about following them, but it's also about retweeting and favoriting them. And we will go into retweeting and favoriting later on. So now we need to start tweeting. Now we get into the space of this 140 characters. As you can see there, we are in the generation of social media where our biggest revolution is a tweet of 141 characters. We all know that there's no way you can go over 140 without Twitter giving you warning signs. No, you cannot tweet this. We are also in an age where you have to Google before you tweet, where Google before you tweet is new think before you speak. So you have to be conscious of what you are tweeting because you might just open up floodgates of a whole Twitter world coming down on you. The 140 character limit forces you to master the art of getting to the point. I personally love that quote over there because it really is that Twitter is really about being direct, getting to the point, getting your message across in 150 characters. So we want to master our tweets. On Twitter, storytelling is very brief. It's it is improvised and it is real time. So remember that if you are in a conference, for example, you are able to sit there and tweet about the event, and you know that your staff that were not able to attend, they can follow your Twitter timeline and know that they will get up to date, real time tweets about what is happening at the event. So now we want to look at replies and mentions. So you can join a conversation on Twitter by simply replying to others and by mentioning them in your own tweets. So what is a reply? A reply is a response to another user's tweet that begins with the at username. So let's just take a look at what Wendell's handle was. Oh, I think I've been followed. Let's say World Vision for thank you, Wendell. Wendell has followed us. So her username is at ww1313. So if I want to reply to Wendell, I would use at ww1313. I can also just click the reply button and Twitter will automatically place Wendell's username in the tweet bar. Any tweet that is a reply to you begins with your at username and will show up in your notifications tab. So when Wendell just followed me now, in the notifications tab, I saw a little one that indicated to me that I've received a notification, and that showed me then that Wendell has followed me. When a tweet starts with a at username, only the users who will see it in their timeline, other than the sender and the recipient, are those who follow both the sender and the recipient. So while Twitter is very public and very open, if you are not following somebody, their tweets will not appear on your timeline and vice versa. So what is a mention? A mention is a tweet that contains another user's at username anywhere in the body of the tweet. So this means that replies are also considered as mentions. So the reply may not necessarily have to start with at www1313 and your response. Or it can also then be hello at www1313, how are you? So we collect these messages as well as all your replies in the notifications tab. If you include multiple usernames in your tweet, all of those people will see your tweet in the notifications tab. So if I see a reply in my timeline, how do I know that tweet, what tweet they replied to? So you have to click on the tweet and it will expand to display the tweet that was replied to. So things to note. Visiting another user's profile page on Twitter will not display tweets that mention them. However, you can search Twitter for tweets mentioning their at username. Replies from people with protected tweets will only be visible to their approved followers. So for example, if I am not following someone, so I don't have to be following, let's see, Jacob Zuma, but I can still type his name and I can still see tweets about him. I can still see mentions about him. Yes, our president is on Twitter. But I can still see his tweets even though I am not following him. Okay, so that is the mentions. Tweeting. So here we want to be real human in front or behind the avatar. So don't be yourself. So even if if you are the person that's tweeting about your library visit or your park visit or your whatever or your daily chatter, it is about being human. And it is also being human when you are sharing your work or when you are sharing your cause and your campaigns. So also create real relationships. It's about engaging and starting conversation. So give more than you talk about yourself. So you don't just want to be, it's not always all about me, 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 me. Think about with whom you want to talk. So here you want to give some consideration, some thought into who you are going to be following, who you are going to be, who you would like to follow you, what you would like to be conversing with them about, and you also want to know what you want to talk about. So you need to have your communications messages ready beforehand. And this also speaks then to the communication strategy, your content strategy that needs to be created, that needs to be and form part of your digital campaign. So participate in your industry's Twitter chats. So if you see some, so in an, so if you are in the women's rights sector and you're following UN Women, if you see something that is relevant to the work that you're doing, you can actually reply to that tweet. You can retweet it. You want to get involved in the conversation, and it is as simple as retweeting and or replying. I can't say in my experience that anyone has ever said, please don't involve yourself in my conversation, because that is just how Twitter is. It opens up conversation. It is a public space. And then Twitter is also about pictures and photos. It has grown to become a very visual platform as well. You can post up to 4 images in one tweet. This does limit you in the amount of characters that you can use. However, it is also a nice way of representing your content. So this is now also a growing trend in Twitter, is the use of infographics. So as you can see here, this is a data visualization of an actual infographic. The type of things that you want to include, so your pie charts, statistics, nice little keyword tags, and so on, and sources. These are nice ways, graphic ways and visual ways of representing your data, your information in one image. So where you are limited to 140 characters, you are able to illustrate it in an infographic. Then you also want to share your content repeatedly in order to cover all time zones. I think we have some visitors from outside of Africa today, and we welcome you. And we're glad that you could join us. And we want to make sure that we're speaking to all time zones. When we look at TweetDeck later on in the webinar series or Hootsuite, I will show you how you are able to schedule tweets. So of course you don't want to seem repetitive. So throughout the day, you will schedule your tweets so that it will not be repetitive for your South African followers, but that it is spread out across for all time zones. Yeah, so to wrap up about tweeting, it's about real interactions. It's about personal engagement. You want to use value-added content. Your content must be rich. Remember, content is king. Participate in Twitter chats, as one of the previous images showed. So you want to use retweets, you want to use hashtags, you want to tweet others' content. So be yourself and not the brand. So be your organization, but also speak on behalf, and this again speaks to your editorial policy that we've been mentioning in the previous 2 webinars. You want to speak on behalf of your organization, and you need to be able to, you as an organization should define what can and cannot be said. I really appreciated one of the questions last week where someone mentioned, is it okay to joke and on your platforms? I strongly believe that yes, it is, and of course it needs to be tasteful, and it needs to be as a team, you need to determine what kind of jokes you would be making, or funny comments you can and cannot make. So ask questions. So this is an easy way to actually open up conversation. So you can just, by simply asking a question, you will have people responding to you. And this is how you can also then have crowdsourcing. You can have people adding value to your research that you may be conducting. Then you also want to create lists. So on Twitter, you are able to create you can actually categorize or manage your different areas of interest. So if you are interested in women, or you are interested in poverty related issues, or HIV/AIDS related issues, you can actually organize all your followers and followings in lists on Twitter. And then you can do shout outs. We'll look at this hashtag FFs and WWs later on in the webinar. And then you can also then offer congratulations and encouragement, or simply say thank you to people for following you. That is also a nice way of getting people to actually start conversing with you. So now we want to look into this idea of this different terminologies as well. So we have retweeting. Okay, so over here, let's go to my timeline. Let's just do that by clicking on home. So a retweet. This is a tweet that you forward to your followers. This is known as a retweet. You can use the built-in retweet feature for this. If you'd like to add your own comments to the tweet, you can use the quote tweet feature. Okay, so if I like Oxfam International, their tweet around whose party is it? Income, hashtag inequality, visualized by 1 gold brick and 99 balloons. And they've included a link, and they've mentioned someone. If I feel like this is a really important tweet that I feel strongly about, I can then go to the retweet symbol. If you hover over it, it will show you that that is retweet. And by simply clicking on it, this box pops up. And as mentioned, if you want to add a quote to it, you can actually just type in there and do that, and you would then click tweet. I'm not going to, but that is how you would then retweet. So here is one from City Power about a power outage in Wimmerpan. And if I feel that I've got a large following that need to know that there is a power loss, I can then just click retweet and retweet. So let's go to my profile. And on my timeline, you will see my retweet. So there it says Nicole retweeted City Power Johannesburg. Okay, so that is retweeting. And then we have, okay, so again, don't just follow people, retweet and favorite. So here we want to look at favoriting. Favorites are represented by a small star icon in a tweet. This is Twitter's way of saying that you like a post. On Facebook you have the like button. On Twitter we have the favoriting icon. So favoriting can let the original poster know that you liked the tweet, or you can save the tweet for later. So let's go and favorite the tweet. And back to my homepage timeline. So Human Rights Watch retweeted, no party to Yemen conflict should use explosive weapons, etc., etc. So this person has been retweeted 10 times, and she's received 8 favorites on her tweet. So I am going to also then favorite that tweet. As you can see, the number there has changed to 9. So now I want to go to my profile. I want to go back to my profile. And then over there, you can see I've made 1 tweet, which is my retweet. I have 15 following me. Thank you, everyone that's been following so far. I have 5 followers, and I have 1 favorite. So if I click on that favorite, it will show the tweet that I've just favorited. So this is a nice way. Is this one way that I really one reason why I really like this favoriting setting is oftentimes you'll find that people would that organizations would share or post new resources, new reports that have been published, and you simply may not have the time to read it immediately or have the ability to copy and paste the link somewhere immediately. So by simply favoriting the tweet, you are able to come back to your favorites list and you'll be able to access the link and refer back to this post at a later stage. Okay. So that is favoriting. So sometimes you can use favorite feature instead of likes. And then our favorite thing, the hashtag, right? Okay, sorry. So the hashtag, what exactly does this pound sign mean? You may notice that some trends have the pound sign before the word or phrase. This is called a hashtag and is included specifically in tweets to mark them as relating to a topic so that people can follow the conversation in search. Last week I mentioned that you can claim a hashtag. So yes, where do hashtags come from? So this question gets to the heart of the confusion, of the confusion of these silly things, because hashtags are a confusing, silly thing, except that they really work. Because hashtags are not any kind of official Twitter function, yet it works. The Twitter has not created a list of topics that we can browse through to see if there's one that interests us. So we've created hashtags to organize this. So you can use them for group activities. So things like school classes, conferences, clubs, associations, or online events. These where there are certain groups of people who want to share information among themselves through tweeting. Just bear in mind that it is always that your Twitter is always still open and public unless you have privacy settings. That you that if that your hashtag that you've claimed, that you've created, if somebody just happens to stumble upon it, they will still be able to go through your hashtag stream of conversation, so to speak. Then you can also use it for online conventions. So these are usually short terms or abbreviations that have become common ways to express certain concepts. Some examples are shout outs, now playing, throwback Thursday, follow Friday. I've seen the newest ones are man crush Monday, so hashtag MCM or hashtag WCW, so women crush Wednesday, and so on. So take note that even though we've been talking about hashtags as they apply to Twitter, they are also now being commonly used on Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Facebook. So you can look for hashtags for popularity before tweeting. So if there is a conversation that you are specifically, or a subject that you are specifically interested in, you can go and look for a hashtag around that subject on Twitter. Most likely somebody will have created a hashtag around that subject. Oh, sorry about that. So you use hashtags to categorize tweets. Sorry about this. My apologies. So using hashtags to categorize tweets by keyword. People use the hashtag symbol before a relevant keyword or phrase, no spaces, in their tweet to categorize those tweets and help them share more easily in Twitter. Okay, so clicking on a hashtagged word in any message shows you all other tweets marked with that keyword. Hashtags can occur anywhere in the tweet, at the beginning, middle, or end. Hashtagged words that become very popular are often trending topics, and we'll get into trending topics in a little while as well. So using hashtags correctly. So if you tweet with a hashtag on a public account, Anyone who does a search for that hashtag may find your tweet. Don't spam with hashtags. You often find that people want to hashtag every single word in their tweet, and it just looks messy. So don't overtag a single tweet. The best practice is use 2 hashtags per tweet, and you can also then, because bear in mind that you will also have your username, which is also highlighted in your tweet as well. Use hashtags only on tweets relevant to the topic. Again, so don't overuse hashtags. And then I just want to look at some Twitter streams. In the past 40 minutes since we've started, Cecil the Lion, which is the latest news in South Africa, or rather in Africa, with Cecil the Lion having been shot. In the past 40 minutes, 874 new tweets with the hashtag Cecil the Lion has been made. So you can literally go and do a search in your toolbar for hashtag Cecil the Lion. My laptop seems to be not playing nice today. My apologies for the delays. Okay, there we go. So anyone and everyone around the world is tweeting about Cecil the Lion. If you don't know about it, the best way to find out about it is to go and search on Twitter. By searching this hashtag, you will be able to find out what people are saying, what their opinions are, what environmentalists are saying, what news agencies are saying, what anyone for that matter is saying around this topic is being tweeted on with the hashtag Cecil the Lion. I've also pulled up another popular hashtag, which is Bring Back Our Girls. This discussion has been going on for how many years, and it's still today. It is still a popular hashtag. It is still a discussion that is happening every single day. So where governments think that it is a forgotten topic, Twitter is making sure that it remains relevant. So you can see people are still constantly tweeting about it, and up to 4 hours ago, up to minutes ago for that matter. So another example is recently the hashtag Someone Tell CNN was also created. Well, it's not a recent one, but it has also created quite the stir in Africa. So the hashtag Someone Tell CNN took over Kenya's Twitter pages after a CNN broadcaster referred to Kenya as a terror hotbed when discussing security concerns surrounding President Obama's recent trip to the country. This this hashtag and tweet was retweeted and over 120,000 times on its first day, according to the BBC. And a government minister from Kenya even asked for an apology. It wasn't the first time this hashtag was used. 3 years ago, Kenyans on Twitter also took to Twitter with the hashtag Someone Tells CNN when the broadcaster used the headline "Violence in Kenya" during a segment on a bus station bombing in the country. A year later, the hashtag started trending again when CNN published a report titled "Kenyans Armed and Ready to Vote," in which the network alleged Kenyans were preparing to use violence in the country's general elections. So people are using Twitter to so people coming out on Twitter creates a situation where there is a greater sense of accountability, where it enables us to hold media houses accountable directly. So you can actually address CNN, BBC, Sky News, etc., and tell them, look, what you said is bull, it makes no sense, it is utter rubbish. No. So here you are actually holding these news agencies directly accountable. Another hashtag that was also that also became popular last week. Let's see if I can just pull it up. I personally like this one. The Africa, and thank you Twitter for pulling it up for me. The Africa the media never shows. So this hashtag popularized the effort to diversify images of Africa further, collecting over 45,000 tweets with photos from the continent's fashion industry, beautiful pristine beaches, ancient mosques, and modern hospitals. The types of images of Africa rarely seen in the dominant global media. So this is an excellent and gorgeous way and stunning way of showing the other side of Africa that the rest of the world doesn't see. Um, so yes, there's another nice way that Twitter is changing how people's view of Africa, of our continent. Um, so yes, we've looked at you, and we've looked at some examples of nice hashtags that are out there. So then we also have trends. So how are trends determined? Trends are determined, here we're going to go in a little bit of detailed things, which really doesn't really matter to us, but it's still important and nice to know. Trends are determined by an algorithm and by default are tailored for you based on who you follow and your location. This algorithm identifies topics that are popular now rather than topics that have been popular for a while or on a daily basis to help you discover the hottest emerging topics of discussion on Twitter that matter most to you. You can choose to see trends that are not tailored for you by selecting a specific trends location on twitter.com. Location trends identify popular topics among users in a specific geographic location. So let's look at trends. So on your Twitter homepage, let's just go back there. And in the left navigation, you will see trends. Here you can change which country, change the country, change the location to show the trends happening in that specific area. So based on where I am, when I've completed my profile, which is Johannesburg, South Africa, these are the current top tweets happening right now, the top trends happening right now. So if you want to change that, you can keep the tailored trends or you can change it. So again, trends offer a unique way to get closer to what you care about. They are tailored for you based on your location and who you follow. So you can search locations, so Johannesburg, Soweto, Pretoria, South Africa, Mombasa, etc. So let's just do Cape Town and let's see how it has changed. So over there, you can see what are the trends in Cape Town right now. Cecil the Lion, flying on empty, Kenya Airways. So something must have happened with Kenyan Airways. Chester missing the puppet. He must have done something funny. So this is a nice way of actually seeing what is relevant, what is the latest news, and so on. So this is how you can participate in trends is by, if you are interested in that conversation, you would then, I'm going to be very, very cheesy right now and say so sad, hashtag Cecil the Lion. And I can add my location, which is disabled over there. Wait, sorry. Turn on location. So my tweet. So if Cecil the Lion is trending in Johannesburg, my tweet will contribute to making Cecil the Lion also trend, which it's not, surprisingly enough, but it will also appear on this discussion. So let's click on Cecil the Lion and we should see my tweet in the search as well. Unless it's drowned in the millions. Okay, there I am as the egg. Okay, so that is trends. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, around 50% of all tweets include a link. So links posted in tweets can be shortened using specific websites that actually shorten URLs for you. These are useful tools because it shortens the URL that often you find it takes up longer than a tweet itself. So you want to use these kind of platforms to shorten your links. Your links are important as they are calls to action. Don't forget, you want to drive people to your website. You want to encourage people to go to your website. So for example, we want everyone to participate and to go to our blog, and our blog has a long URL. So what you want to do is literally copy and paste the URL. You want to go to bit.ly.com and register. You can paste the URL in there, and it will just press enter and it will do the rest for you. Oh dear, but it still did it over there. So you would just click copy, because this is now my shortened link. From having Oxfam in access.wordpress.com, it has shortened it to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 characters. So I still have quite a number of characters to use in my tweet. Why this is also a useful tool, because you are able to see the stats of how many people have actually clicked through from your tweet. So I will go and create a tweet. I will create a tweet now with my bit link in it. And that's it. And I still have 68 characters which I can use. And let's see if I can add a photo just for the fun of it. And open. And there we have a nice tweet with a link as well, and an image. So using links are very useful to driving people to your website. You want to encourage people to visit your website. You want to have a call to action. Right. Sorry, folks, I seem to be having technical difficulties today. So how can you as a nonprofit use Twitter? The influx of charities and nonprofits to platforms like Facebook and Twitter could result in noise, congestion, and outright apathy. Spreading awareness of a good cause grows difficult when that good cause starts to seem like spam. If one tweet after another is seeking donations, people might just get fed up. So this speaks to our strategy. This speaks to how often we're going to be tweeting, what kind of messages we're going to be sharing, and who we're going to be sharing our messages with. I'm sure many of us feel like we are in the thick of that noise and that congestion, and we don't know where our space is. We don't know where to find ourselves within this area. So it's about our strategy. So a perfect match. Nonprofits are in the relationship business. Social media strengthens relationships, and conversations drive conversions. We want to get people to come to our website. We want to get people to donate to us. We want to get people involved in our causes. We want people to get involved with us and with the work that we do. We want to grow our online activism and take it offline. So social media isn't traditional marketing. It is digitized. It is not easy donations. It is not free. It is not standalone. However, social media is insightful. It is conversational. It is strategic. It is valuable when done correctly. So how can we make it valuable for us? Let's look at some ways that NGOs can make their Twitter activity some a little bit more useful. So one, you want to monitor discussions and relevant updates. So once you've signed up and chosen the right Twitter name, you've created your profile on your about your NGO and about your organization, you want to start doing a search. You want to start researching other NGOs, other organizations in the same space as you. This will familiarize you with the relevant content on Twitter and will give you a taste on how to proceed further. Secondly, identify and follow. Identify the most influential and interesting Twitter users in your sector and follow them. Then customize your account as we done at the beginning of this session. So add a descriptive biography, add related links, add custom and customize your page to encourage tweets to follow you. Create a relevant voice. Are you going to be always stiff or newsy, or are you going to be fun? Are you going to be open, or are you going to have a mix of these kind of your tone of voice? It's up to you which tone of voice you use, but avoid going into rants or being idle. You find so many people using Twitter as their space to complain and complain, which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, be complaining about the right thing or with the intention of having a change or creating an enabling change. So be patient as well. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not about yes, these services promise huge numbers of followers. There are websites that can actually help you grow your Twitter following overnight. But don't be fooled by those, because it could be that they having 50,000 people who aren't listening to you or retweeting you is not as valuable as whereas having 100 people actually retweeting you and evangelizing your cause. So rather the 100 people that are actually forwarding your messages, sharing your content, responding to you, as opposed to the 50,000 people that are just hiding and idle and also just in the noise and congestion. The way to do this right is by being active through posting relevant and interesting messages and responding and engaging with your followers. We've spoken about this throughout the session. So engage your audience. So Twitter is flooded with millions of tweets per day. So make sure yours counts. Make sure what you are posting is the one that's going to get attention. If you post interesting content, people will want to talk to you about it. So Twitter is a two-way communication. So don't be surprised when people want to talk to you or ask questions. So be ready when people actually ask you questions or actually start the conversation with you. So it might be time consuming, but take the time to actually do your Twitter efforts. Revisit your tweets. Sometimes you might get so caught up in your tweeting that you will forget to check up on the quality of your tweets. Um, it's also it's also a good idea to, as part of your editorial policy, to decide whether you want to use a short code. If you want to use, the hashtag FF, for example, was Friday following. Often you see people using U instead of YOU, or they use the ampersand instead of and AND. So you can decide if you are comfortable using abbreviations for your tweets, or if you want to use full words and rather have a list of tweets after each other instead of having instead of using abbreviations. It's entirely up to you as part of your editorial policy. So use the Twitter client. The easier you make it for yourself, the more likely you will post messages more often. My favorite is TweetDeck, but there are many others out there, and we'll look into those later on in the webinar series. Be creative and innovative. As an NGO, the chances are that your followers are actually interested in what you have to say. They really want to hear from you, especially potential donors or volunteers. So write a blog, write interesting articles, tweet often, link your Facebook and your Twitter so that you don't that you so that your tweets can go onto your Facebook page and you get people to follow you there as well. use infographics, as I showed you earlier on in the presentation, as a nice way to illustrate the work you're doing, the statistics, or just be creative and innovative. And then check hashtags. You'll often see words like Earth Day, Apprentice, Friday following, MCM, and so on and so on. These you can include in your tweets to make it easier for others to follow a topic. Remember that Twitter is mobile. It's often mostly used on mobiles. So think of it in terms of, again, that word, real time. So reason for using Twitter, it's about listening. It's about starting conversation. It's about engaging. It's about speaking to people and having them speak back to you. So it's this opening the lines of conversation. It's two-way communication. A strategy, have your employees tweet and develop like-minded followers. It's different. Use it for your different campaigns and different channels. So you can have a campaign about bring back the girls, for example, but you may be also parallel to that, you could be having a campaign on poverty. So claim your hashtag, and create your conversations around your hashtag and work it into your campaign strategy. So Twitter is not in isolation, so use it with your other social media sites. And then push people to your media hub page, to your website. Use it, push them to your Facebook page, push them to your blog. Make sure that you are including a call to action. You may not do it in every single tweet, but it is advisable to do it at least once a day or with every third, fourth tweet. And then the benefits, again, just to wrap it up, you can join in conversation with constituents. You can gain insight from your constituents about how they feel about your organization. You can even mend relationships and make new contacts, help spread important messages, and then increase your online activism. So ultimately, we want to use this as another form of communicating with our wide audiences, with our various audiences across the world. Remember that number, 302 million active registered users on Twitter, 400 million tweets going out a day. And that is Twitter. So I thank you all for participating and listening. I'm ready with any questions anyone may have. Wendell, do we have a list of questions?
Thanks, Nicole. That was really helpful. I learned quite a lot as we went along. There was a question from Angela right in the beginning. I think she was querying one of the facts in one of your slides.
Okay.
Her question was 34% of Twitter users use Twitter for personal behavior change and 60% of users to support a cause, different from 80% of users using Twitter as another way to support a favorite cause. Do you mind repeating exactly what was meant?
Okay. So, so 85% of people use this is specific to campaigning. It's specific to your cause. So 80% of people use it as an opportunity to learn about new issues. 85% use it to learn about new issues. So they will come to Twitter. They are the information seeker. About specific causes, about a specific campaign. So if it's about HIV/AIDS, for example, they would come there specifically to follow organizations working in that area, and that is the statistic of people looking into a specific cause. 80%, another way to support a favorite cause. So if, again, just to repeat, if you are specifically looking into women's rights issues, you will go there specifically to look for issues around women's rights. And that is the statistic of people that is coming there for that specific cause. But it doesn't matter. I think it's a cause in general. It's general statistics of what people are coming there for. Then 60% use it as a form of online media to support a cause. So they support a cause, even if it's just to come there to learn about it, to support it by donating. And that was the last statistic, in fact, purchasing cause-related products. So if you're in the business of selling things through your organization, you would click through from the link provided in your tweet, and you would go to the website and you would end up making a purchase. This is the conversion that we're always speaking about. Personal behavior change. So if a tweet really speaks to me, then it will have affected me, and my perception of whatever topic may be will have changed based on that tweet. My perception, it's exactly that. My opinion may change based on a tweet. So, which is important to note, because that you want to be able to persuade people based on on these kind of things with your content. Yeah.
Thanks. Hopefully that answered your question, Angela. If not, just tap in another. Oh, there we go. Thanks very much. Sure. Thanks, Angela. Are there any other questions from any of the attendees? Oh, I see we've got a question from Sue.
Yes.
What? Sue
So Sue
is asking, one tweet can use up to 140 characters. How do photos work? Does one picture equal one character? Does one need to resize pictures in order to use on Twitter?
Okay, so yeah, this is a tricky one, because you can actually, so let's go, can we share my screen again? I often find this to be very tricky, because you can have big images, like 1000 by 2000 whatever pixels and so on, and then it will only allow you to add that one image, and then all your characters are gone. And then you can have a number of smaller images, and then it will take up very few of your characters. So I honestly I'm not too sure about that, so I would rather research that and get back to you on that. But let's just add, like, here's an image that's 2.7 megs, and there's the dimensions. So let's see how many of these we can include on a tweet, and then let's see how many characters we'll have left over. Because
And Nicole, would it make any difference? So say, for instance, if I'm using Twitter on my phone and the images are very large that have been uploaded, will that affect my download speed or how much data I use? So is it better to resize your pictures so that they are smaller and more accessible?
So this is the point that I'm saying I would rather research the question around image and size, because I've had the images that I'm uploading right now were taken with my phone, have not been resized. And if you can see the size of the images, 2 megs. I've got that one in there already. This one, 3 megs. They were taken with my phone and just downloaded onto my laptop. So even if I were uploading this from my phone, it would be the same amount of character, the same size. And if you look over there, only 117 characters have been used, and I've added 4 images. So let's just say, so I would rather research that and add that on our blog, the response to that on our blog, because I cannot actually answer the question around image size. And let's just include that link, and it actually is a nice illustration for us to see how much you can actually include in a tweet. And those images, again, they were actually quite big, and I still have 66 characters. So let's just read that. So it would appear that they don't really take up, doesn't really matter, but that the size of the images, that they actually do work. And I would assume that the same on the phone, based on the fact that the images were taken on my phone. But again, I would rather confirm that and respond to that on our blog.
Perfect. So watch out, everybody, for Your tweets have come through. I saw your tweet and I've clicked on your link, by the way. And there's a question from Phil. Thanks, Phil. He's asking us, can you guide us on how many times a week we should be tweeting on average?
Okay, so this is again, this speaks to your editorial policy. Some organizations are tweeting 5, 6, up to 10 times a day. I guess it's also in terms of the nature of your work. Maybe you have resources that you want to share. Maybe you have, maybe you have news that you want to share. Maybe you have something that happened in the office, or something specific that happened within your sector that you think you want to share your comment around the topic. So I don't think, especially on my last comment, maybe you haven't. Your organization specifically is interested or has a direct influence or on Cecil the Lion, the discussion around that. So you shouldn't feel that you cannot, just because you've already made 5 posts, therefore you cannot make a post around Cecil the Lion. You've reached your quota for the day. So as an organization, you will be able to determine what, as part of your policy or as part of your strategy, how many tweets per day. So you actually plan them ahead. You can plan what you will post at 9 in the morning. You can plan what you will post at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, at 3 o'clock, again at 5 o'clock, and again at 7 o'clock. And in between that, you will be monitoring what other organizations are saying, and you will find yourself wanting to actually respond to that. So in the end, you will have made 10 posts for the day because you were interacting with other organizations as well, which is, so I don't think that you should limit yourself, especially if you are engaging throughout the day. You are actually speaking to people, you are actually responding to tweets, or other people have responded to your tweet. So Phil, your question says how many times a week. It should be more so how many times a day. But, so yes, it's entirely up to you as an organization, because you may find that you don't have that much to say about specific issues always on the go. So maybe you plan, you as an organization say, we will post at least 3 tweets a day, and throughout the day, then you can say, okay, but I also want to I want to comment about Inkantla. I also want to comment about Cecil the Lion. I want to comment about Bring Back the Girls, and so on. So at the end of the day, you would find that you would have tweeted 10 times. So it's entirely up to you as an organization, and you will find that your Twitter timeline will be buzzing because you are interacting with so many other organizations throughout the day as well.
And Nicole, just in terms of if your Facebook is connected with your Twitter account, so when you post something on Facebook, or if you repost a status or an image, it'll then come up on your Twitter account as well.
So it usually works best that you link your Twitter to your Facebook account, so that what you tweet goes to your Facebook account. Oftentimes what happens with Facebook, you create your Facebook post, because you are limited to 140 characters. Actually, it's not a bad thing. Sorry, I take that back. I'm contradicting myself. Because of your 140 characters, your tweet would read something. So I'm just going to read Phil's question. Your tweet would read something like, can you guide us as to how many times a week, ... and then the link to Facebook. So then you would have to click on the link to read the rest of the post that was made, because on Twitter you would have reached your 140 characters. So it is okay. It is awesome to link your two. However, with Facebook, you would have to click through to the link to be able to see any image with the post. On Twitter, however, you would add your Facebook, your image, and your post and your image, and it would both. And if you click through to share on Facebook, it would both appear there. So yes, it is
And I
live.
see that lots of...
I'm sorry, Wendell, just on that point. when we look at the TweetDecks and Hootsuites later on in the webinar series, we will look at linking the profiles to streamline all these processes. I deliberately didn't add it as part of today's session because we will look deeper into TweetDeck and Hootsuites and what have you, so that we can streamline all our efforts.
Thanks.
Okay.
And then just a question from me in terms of what makes a good hashtag. So obviously you can put anything into your hashtag, but how do you develop a good hashtag?
I cannot answer because you have to do your research you need to do your research behind what has already been created as a hashtag. It was sorry, I apologize. This was on my slides and I seem to have removed it. I'm just going to type it in as a question, Wendell. You can just pull it up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a website called Twabs, and this website allows you to actually.
Do you want? Oh, hold on.
Yes, you can actually share my screen, please.
Okay, I'll share your screen. Sure, hold on a sec.
I'm already going there.
There we go.
Okay, it's actually still taking its time to open. So this website allows you to search for all hashtags that are already existing. So you will be able to, it's not that you have to register your hashtag. Please don't read the word register hashtag because then it would make it to intimidate you into claiming your hashtag. But if we can do a search for, let's just do Oxfam, and you will see Oxfam is listed over here. So this is a directory of all hashtags that are already out there, and it will pull up a live feed of things that are already hashtagged that have the hashtag Oxfam. This is a useful tool, of course, because you can, if you want to create a hashtag and you come here and you search for your hashtag, you will see, okay, no, this is not, I can't use that hashtag because it's already been taken. It's use something that speaks to the organization, use something that speaks specifically to your campaign. I don't think that I can give any guidelines as to what makes a good hashtag other than that it needs to look specifically at your campaign and to your organization. Another thing that is useful is to include a country hashtag, because that is also countries are also hashtagged and they pull up in your trending lists as well. So if there are over 1,000 people attending your conference, for example, and you instruct people to use your hashtag, most likely you could possibly get people to have your hashtag trending. One guideline I will say though is, yes, Bring Back Our Girls became popular, but it is long. And that, of course, takes away the amount of characters left over for you to use in your tweet. So that is the one direct guideline I can give you, is try to keep it short. Try to steer away from abbreviations unless people know it to be your organization, unless people would be able to associate it with your organization. It makes no sense to say OSA, Oxfam South Africa, hashtag OSA, because nobody would understand it from if they should see it. So I think those are the kind of things that you need to think of and be cognizant of when you're choosing your hashtag.
Thank you. Are there any other questions out there? Because I think we have 2 minutes left before our 3:30 deadline. So if there are any questions, just raise your hand or type in a question. Looks like all are happy.
Awesome.
So just a reminder of the next webinar. So our next
Right.
webinar is the introduction to blogging, and we had to change the date from the normal Thursday slot to a Wednesday slot. So it's still at the same time at 2 o'clock, but it's on Wednesday, the 5th of August. So if you go into the link and register, it will then send you all those reminders the day before, the hour before, and when the webinar starts. So we have completed our third in our 10-part series, and I think we are getting a really nice understanding of the different tools. And next week we're going to be looking at blogging, which should be really exciting.
Yes, it's going to be a nice one. Looking forward to seeing you all, and we will look at WordPress specifically as a blogging platform, and we will actually look at how you can integrate things like your Twitter streams into your blog so that it appears on your blog as well. It's embedding widgets. So yes, we're looking forward to that as well.
Excellent. And just a reminder that all of the past webinars and some information and links, I've actually been reading some interesting articles and been posting some of those articles onto the WordPress account as well. So go through, have a look, have a read, tell us what you're thinking and raise any questions. And then Nicole will also post some of that information about the question around images and how many characters that uses in your tweet. So for more information, go through to the link and read a little bit more on some of the topics.
And just one more point before we say goodbye. Apologies for those who may have clicked on last week's blog around Facebook. We're having some technical difficulties with our YouTube. So we're looking at fixing that. So please bear with us. But yes, it will be fixed eventually.
Yes, and Sue asked a question. Hopefully, YouTube sometimes is not my best friend. So Sue did ask that they had meetings next week, Wednesday, so they'll watch it and download it maybe for your Thursday slot. So we can always see if you can't attend it on the Wednesday at 2 o'clock, it might already be up and you can attend it on the Thursday and just watch it from YouTube.
Brilliant. In fact, I will make sure that it's up by Thursday afternoon.
Yes. So if you can't make it on the change time on Wednesday, you can still make it on the normal time on Thursday. So thank you, Nicole. I think that was really helpful. And I learned a lot of new things about Twitter as well. And thanks to all the attendees for their interesting questions and the engagement. So it's really been a pleasure. And join us next week, Wednesday, or watch the recording on the Thursday. Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone. See you all next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.